everybody. Welcome back to the Prep Podcast. We're so excited for this very special episode number 5. If you don't know me, my name is Taylor Kaplan. I'm the producer / director / host of the podcast. And we are loving this. We are always loving doing this. And I'm having so much fun talking to really cool people. And today we have not one cool person, but 2 cool people for you. And I'm so excited to share them with you, share them with the world. So today we have Bobby Cronin and Caitlin Cameron. Yay!
Hi.
Yay! How are you guys doing?
Good.
Just dandy.
Dandy.
Yeah.
I like to hear it. Okay. So thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
We're
Thank
so
you for
excited to
having us.
hear you guys. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. It's a loaded question. I have to pile it on everybody, so, you know, it's a tough one. But Caitlin, do you want to tell us
okay.
about yourself first?
I would love to. I'm a full-time college student at Brookdale. I work at Nothing Bundt Cakes.
Oh my gosh, those are really good bundt cakes.
It's addicting and really, really bad because I'm there all the time.
Are you like a cashier, or do you like
Yeah.
make them? Okay.
No, I wish I was a baker.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't have any other hobbies.
What do you mean you don't have any other hobbies?
Except
Hello,
for,
why
like,
are
music.
we here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I write music and I have songs out on Spotify and Apple Music and all the fun stuff. Yay.
Amazing. Good little commercial. Love
So
it.
humble.
Very humble. She's like, oh, a little thing. No,
Yeah.
she's humble. All right. We'll get to that,
Thanks.
though. You guys will hear it. So, Bobby, your turn.
I am Bobby Cronin, and I've been fortunate to wear many hats in this industry. I am mostly known as a composer and lyricist for theater, and I have been teaching at the college level for a couple of decades, and I left the college level to go to the prep, and was one of the best things that I ever did. And in doing that, I'd always produced music with friends, just like kind of for fun. And then one of my Broadway friends did her first solo album of her original music, and she brought me in to co-produce, and I kind of got hooked on like working on other people's music, which is just so much fun. It works a different part of my brain. And what I noticed when I was at the prep is that I had a few students that really enjoyed writing their own material, or didn't know that they would like writing their own material. The pandemic happened, and it was something I said to a lot of students of, you know, maybe get a guitar or sit down at the piano and write out how you're feeling.
Were you one of those, Caitlin?
She was.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you know that you wanted to write music, or was this kind of something you just kind of fell into?
I dabbled in writing music for a while. Probably the song, like the oldest song on the like upcoming project album thing that's coming out is probably when I was 17 and I'm like 18 now. So
Okay. Fairly
like,
new.
Yeah, or maybe 16. So like 2 years ago.
Nice.
What happened, so we went virtual, and I saw Caitlin every week, and she would start playing these, she did pick up a guitar. She was one of the students that listened.
I remember so vividly Caitlin on like TikTok and
Yes.
Instagram, and I'd see her jamming out on her guitar, and I'm like, girl, her voice is amazing.
Thank you.
Right?
Stop.
So
And then she started singing
beautiful.
other people's like new songs. And she'd be like, oh, I heard this on TikTok. And it would be, 30 seconds of something. And I said, why don't you do that? Why don't you write that? And it took a little bit. And then one day, a lot of our lessons are her wanting to play something for me and sing for me. And then we sort of, tweak it or change the key or play around with the cover that she's doing. But one day she finally said, so I wrote a little something.
I was so scared. I was
oh my gosh.
I was like, I know he's going to want me to show it to him. But like, I was like, I know once I say it, I will not be leaving this FaceTime call until I play it. And that was really scary, but it was a good start. Like because Bobby's supportive. He'll give you criticism, but it's good criticism.
Criticism. It's like a little team effort.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just heard, like, I was immediately taken by her lyrics. Like that was the thing that really impressed me right away. And I just kept trying to support her and tell her, keep doing this, keep putting down what it is that you're feeling. You're at a really interesting age where there's a lot happening to you, and you're at a time in the world where there's a lot happening.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I played her song called Skin for one of my theater collaborators. Her name is Crystal Skillman. She's a very well-established playwright in the industry. And she listened to Skin, and halfway through, she paused it, and she went, wait, how old is this person? And I said, I think she wrote it when she was like 17, maybe 16, 17 when she wrote this. And she said, these are some of the best lyrics I have ever heard.
You didn't tell me that.
Wow. That's so nice.
Surprise.
I know.
That's a good surprise.
I
That's
texted
so
your
nice.
mom. I told your mom.
That, yeah. Of course she wouldn't tell me.
She was really taken by your imagery. So when Caitlin finished one song and she was like, oh, I'm starting something else, I just kept putting into her brain of, maybe we can write 6 or 7 songs. And, my job working and collaborating on songwriting is I didn't write anything of Caitlin's. I guided her.
Yeah.
I remember, we'd spitball back and forth lyric ideas. It's always hard getting a second verse. Second verses as a songwriter are really hard.
There were like so many times where I'd be like, we're in this melody, but like, what word rhymes with this but doesn't sing weird? Like, those words that just don't sing right.
Don't sing right. Yeah.
I was like, what will sing right? Do you also want to hear something really stupid?
I would love to.
One of like the things, because like the oldest song on the album, as I said, was probably from like when I was like 16, peak pandemic time, like right when we went into it. I just like sat down and was like bored one day and was like, whatever, let's just put something on paper. And then my senior year, I was in English class, and she was like making us like be creative, and we had to write a poem about Frankenstein, like the book Frankenstein. And I was like, this is getting my creative juices flowing. I have to go home and just like write something. And then I like went home and just like started like writing lyrics, and I'm sure at least one of the songs that is on this album came out of a Frankenstein poem from senior English class.
You never know where the inspiration comes from.
I mean, the song isn't about Frankenstein. That was not a fun book. Not awful, but I wasn't a fan. Yeah. But something about writing poetry for Dr. Thowens.
Got you there. It's always the people who were always like English driven in school. Like who were like good at English class. We're like the tryhards in English class. Oh, yeah. Always trying to impress with their writing, who become the best songwriters.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. And how did you feel? Because I know we were kind of talking about it, how Bobby's trying to push you a little bit, give you these pushes and shoves when you first showed him your songwriting capabilities. How were you feeling during that process? Like, was this something you wanted to jump on, or was it something like, I don't know, like maybe it's kind of scary? What were you feeling at that point?
Oh, I was so hesitant. Bobby had to like really like force me into like putting it anywhere, like even posting it on Instagram, let alone like releasing it on platforms. Like, I didn't even want to tell him at first that I was writing music. Even after I wrote the first one and then I wrote another one, I'd be like, I wrote another one. You're probably going to want to hear it, right? And then he'd be like, sing it. And I'd be like, okay. Not like that, not like mean, but he'd be like, sing it for me. And I'd be like, okay. And then I'd do it. But it took a lot of talking me into it, because I've always loved to write and I've always loved to sing. But when it came to songwriting, for a really long time, you'd do those things where you'd be like in the car or in the shower and you just sing words. They weren't coherent. They were just words. And I think I would always put way too much like thought into it. If I were to sit down in front of a piece of paper, I'd be like, they have to be perfect. They have to like mean something. But like, if you just sit down and just write something, usually you'll get something out of it if you don't like force yourself too hard.
That's really interesting. That's actually very interesting.
Oh, thanks.
Is that how all of your songs come out? Just like it comes to you?
Kind of. It starts with like one like verse, like one thought, one idea, and then I try to build off of it. And I remember like a few months ago, this isn't anything on the album, this is like new, like a few months ago, it was like midnight, I couldn't sleep. I was like, I'm bored. So I pulled out my guitar and I was just messing around with stuff, and I was like, and then I just started like singing words, and then I like had an idea in my head of like a concept I was going for, and then all of a sudden I had like a verse and the start of a pre-chorus, and I still haven't done anything with it, but I did something, like that's how a lot of my songs started, was just a random 3 lines that eventually I made another random 3 lines and connected them with a pre-chorus and like made it like happen. It's just little concepts that just kind of puzzle pieced together.
It's amazing.
I call it the clay stage of writing
Clay
something
stage.
where you have some stuff, but you just need to shape it.
Yeah.
But you just got to get that stuff. Whether it's
Oh, I
one
like that.
phrase or a melody hook or something, that's the start of your clay, and then you can build it up. It's something that Caitlin and I spent a nice amount of time on. We would talk through other songs, not her songs, but other songs, and we would name, what is it? That is the verse. This is the pre-chorus. This one doesn't even have a bridge. So we would talk through like different types of structures of songs. Because for me as a songwriter, structure is the most important. I find songs that lack structure to be hard to listen to or hook into. And in the pop world or singer-songwriter world, like structure is the thing that we yearn for, because we know, especially singer-songwriter, we know these lyrics are going to be rich and they're going to be deep. But if it's just like someone singing their diary and there's no form to it, there's no structure, there's no scansion, it's not going to stick in our head. And that's something that Caitlin was really good about. Like we would count numbers of syllables in lines, and we would make sure that the second verse had that same amount of syllables and that the right words were being stressed. So that's what I like to do as a songwriting coach. Again, like I didn't write a lick of Caitlin's stuff, but being through the development of it with her. And like I remember one session, we couldn't figure out like what else to say. It was just like, what else do we say? And we just started thinking, well, okay, what happens in a situation like this? And we just started like making up ideas of,
It was medicine.
okay, well, what's
I know
another thing other than
exactly.
holding somebody's hand? What can you do that's not just holding someone's hand? Like what is the next step in a relationship? And you kind of have to get a little personal when you're working on, especially, for me as a songwriter, I write for other people. I don't write for myself. So Caitlin has such a good grasp of her voice that she knows where to sit things. When I know who I'm writing for, I can do that. But Caitlin, she was able to almost like do the opposite of what I do. I write for mostly character, especially in musical theater, right? There's a character they have to get from point A to point B. A pop song is really, we're not trying to go on a journey necessarily like in theater, but we do have to go somewhere. We can't just keep saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And so that became a lot of fun for us of what else here? But then she would come in with full songs and I'd be like, well, that's perfect. Like that's just, I wish I could write that.
Stop it. It's literally your job. What are you talking about? No, but I remember exactly what we were talking about. It was medicine. It was the second verse.
Yes.
And like the third line. It was not like I had like 1, 2, and 4. It was just like something sandwiched in the middle, and I couldn't find a rhyming word or something that like flowed the right way. And we were literally sitting there for an hour just like, what could possibly go here? Like, and it took us a while.
It's a lot of just throwing ideas out. Collaborating is super fun.
Yeah.
And I will say Caitlin also in the recording studio, was so fun to collaborate with.
Oh, it was so fun.
'Cause there were 3 of us producing.
Nice.
Because
okay.
Initially it was going to be 2 of us with an engineer. And the engineer was so blown away by Caitlin that he like made a deal with us of I want to be on this project.
Shout out.
Yes.
And so then we had 3 brains in there. What was interesting is that they're all 3 guys. And so it was nice to have Caitlin's point of view. And my job with any artist I work with is it's their vision. It's their song. It's not mine. Which, again, is why I like this aspect of this part of my job. It's not my music. So it's not what I want. It's what they want.
Gotcha.
And really, but Caitlin and I, we would talk, some of our sessions, we would just listen to other songs and go, oh yeah, I like that. I hear that guitar. I like how that guitar does that thing. Or, oh, hear how her voice is layered 3 times. Let's do that. Let's, what if we did that with one of the songs?
I was going to say, like, one of the things we did a lot of was Bobby not sat me down. That sounds like we were having a very serious.
Sat you down. Get on the floor.
Yeah, sit down. No, that sounded like really formal. No, we were like in a session, or it was like a studio session or something like that. It was before we went to the studio, and he was like, make me a playlist of all of like the artists that inspire you, songs with specific sounds that you're going for, like not lyrics because that was already done, but like a kind of atmosphere that you're going for. And I made a playlist and I sent it out to them all. And once we got in the studio, that was like really helpful to be able to reference, to be like, well, we want this to kind of have the same vibe as this, so what can we do vocally or production wise that can make this really pop in the way that that song does? And it made it so interesting because it was like cutting and pasting different ideas from different places and like another like puzzle piece.
Puzzle piece to this big puzzle.
Yeah.
There were times where Caitlin was in the studio with us, and then there were times that she wasn't in the studio with us, and we would do the production aspects. Sometimes we would call her, or I would send her a voice memo or something. We would, the 3, so it was Joey Papa, who has mastered Psy Kids for the Prep, and he mastered Claire Kennedy's album and Skylar Field's album as well. And then Alex Mendelson was my assistant on Claire Kennedy's album, but then he was my co-producer on Caitlin's album. And he brought a lot of because Caitlin's very guitar based, and that for me, that's not my strongest skill. I'm much more piano or drums.
Alex is also a teacher at the Prep, teaching guitar. Shout out.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Alex is teaching at the Prep.
Shout out, Alex.
So it was nice to have just other people to throw out ideas. My point is, my job was to always make sure though that's not really what Caitlin's vision is. Like I remember there was one song that the 2 guys, they were like, oh, but we should do this with it, and I was like, yeah, but that's like a rock song. Now there was one song that we wanted to be a rock song, because it was so in the world of like a Phoebe Bridgers piece. Beautiful. And so we were like, okay, that will be the rock piece. So then we would go back and forth, and like, God, Alex brought in like a baritone guitar. I'd never even heard it before, and it just brought this like depth to one of the songs. And I play xylophone on Skin, which is my personal favorite track on the album.
Me as well. Go stream.
And it was super, that came from, as we were playing around with something, I just went over, there was a xylophone in the studio, and I just started plinking it. And Joey looked at me and he went, oh yeah, we should put that in there. And I was like, yeah. I wasn't sure how it would work. You meant
that, yeah.
But he's such a great engineer that he was able to take the sound that I was creating and like morph it into the worlds that fit Caitlin's vision, which is a different sound than other artists. Every artist that I work with has their own thing, and that is my job, is to make sure, that's the job of a music producer, to make sure the artist's vision is heard and seen and gotten out there to the greater audience.
Nice. Caitlin, I have a question for you.
Okay. I know you said,
lovely. Good
maybe,
to hear.
Hopefully.
I know you said you have some inspirations of artists that you kind of wanted to guide your sound based off of, or just styles that you were interested in. If you could describe your style or the many styles on your new album coming out, which is, do you want to talk about your album?
Oh, yeah. It's called Out of Body by me, Caitlin Cameron. It's a 5-song little album EP. I was very lucky to have worked with Bobby and Joey and Alex on, like, honestly, very, very lucky. Like, the things that all of them have contributed to it changed it completely from what they were before. Like, so I'm very lucky.
If you could pitch it to them and you'll be like, okay, guys, this is, if you like this kind of music, you're going to want to listen to my album. If you like this kind of artist, give it a listen. Who would you say?
If you're a Phoebe Bridgers fan, if you like that, like, sad girl indie pop rock singer songwriter, like, I'm in my feelings all the time because I was like angsty and in high school, that's like a great vibe to describe it.
That must be why I like your songs.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, and I love Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
I heard you say that.
Yeah.
Taylor
She's
Swift,
probably
Mazzy
one of,
Star.
yeah, that was
Lizzie
one of
I
McAlpine.
love them all.
Lizzie
I love them
McAlpine.
all.
Lizzie McAlpine, that's another really big one. She is one of, like, my greatest lyrical and, like, sonic, just sonic. Sonical, not a word.
It is now.
Yeah, but, like, sonically, the things that she creates are just so beautiful. And
Yeah, and it's interesting because, Caitlin had said, I don't like computerized things. I don't like digital stuff. But every artist that she would send me, I would be like, just so you know that layer in the back, that's
digital.
mechanical. That is not a real instrument. That is. So we were able to layer in a lot of beautiful texture into her work. But the thing that we really focused on for every song is that her voice is the star, because her voice in what she's saying really becomes the star of each song, because how she phrases things, how she colors her voice and floats into, Caitlin can actually wail her face off, but she doesn't on this album. It just didn't. A couple background vocals.
I was gonna say a few times.
I got her up to a G.
It was I wanted to kill him. It was like, I didn't want to kill you. I love you, Bobby. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and he was like, again, you can hit it. Come on, you can do it. This note right here, and he would play it on the piano over and over again. He'd be like, you got it, and I would just be like, ah.
But that's where
that's what it felt like.
It's helpful being a voice teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm able to, just lift up that palette, get that palette way up. No one is going to watch you. Stick your tongue out. No one's going to see this. That's how we're going to get as much space as possible to keep this healthy.
Look at all these hats you got.
Oh, yeah.
All these hats. You're like, all right,
but,
producer, but vocal coach.
It's really, it's interesting. I was saying this to someone recently. I am not a young man anymore. When I was younger, we were told you can be one thing in this industry, one thing and one thing only. And I struggled with that because I liked doing many things. And now your generation, the younger generation, multi-hyphenate is a must. You have to be able to do several things.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool that I've ended up where I am, so that I can utilize all the skills that I have. I really do love teaching. It's something that fulfills. I don't have children, so it fulfills like a part of me. So to be able to bring even that teacher element into a recording studio, so that I can make sure that they feel like they're being supported. That that's what a good teacher should do. You're supporting your student.
It was
but then
very
also
nice
to
to
use
have.
the creative brain, the producer brain, as well. Which is why sometimes we didn't want Caitlin there, because we didn't need her voice that day. So we would spend that day working on all other stuff, and we'd send her things. And
actually, they shunned me. They kicked me out. They said, "Don't
never
show
shunned.
up." Can I talk about one thing really quickly?
No, take your time.
Yeah, because since we were just talking about it, I just want to say it before I forget. But I just want to major shout out to Bobby, Joey, and Alex. But when it comes to the guitar aspect, Alex changed the whole atmosphere of like 3 of my songs just by changing like a single chord. And I just want to say shout out to Alex for like completely changing the trajectory of like just the whole guitar. Oh, it's so good. He's like a pro.
On guitar he also played bass on the
yes
album. But what he would do that was so cool is he would change what are called the voicings. So instead of your D being your traditional D way down here, he would play around with like where he could play it so that the melodic sort of passing tones and the rising and falling action of each chord progression would vary from her melody. So you're not just getting the melody on top of the vocal on top of the guitar chords, you're getting a sonic treatment. And it was so fun to watch him do that. And there was one,
so
Caitlin,
cool.
I remember in particular,
Skin.
when we were working on, again, it's Skin, my favorite song, where we got to the chorus, and I was like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It doesn't feel like we're in a chorus. I feel like we're in the same structure, even though my queen, Taylor Swift, is the queen at doing a 4-chord song where the chords never change the entire song.
All of her songs. So many of her songs.
But Caitlin's, this song had such an emotional ride to it that I felt like we needed something when we got to the chorus, something to change.
Okay.
And Alex flip-flopped 2 chords. And I
Changed
remember I had like my eyes welled up because it just brought it made her lyrics pop even more because the chord underneath it became minor instead of major.
Yeah. It was perfect. It was like
it was such a cool. I will always remember that moment.
Me too. The whole room, we were just like, we're like, wait a minute. Whoa. It was like
you're a pin drop in the room.
Literally, we were just like, we all looked around. We're like, that's it. That there.
It was also super fun in the studio. Caitlin hadn't been in a studio before, and a lot of what we did was we sat on a couch, and we put a microphone to her so she would feel comfortable. We would
That's really cool.
have her be sitting and bring the microphone for her guitar, and we would record a scratch guitar track for her to record to, and then we'd put in a new guitar track, and if we wanted to change her vocals. And so it was all catered toward feeling comfortable, because that's what you must when you're trying to create and share. It's different when you're in your room, right? When you're in your room writing sad songs, it's one thing, but when you suddenly are like, wait, I'm recording this. Your brain can be like, oh, this pressure, this is a lot.
Were you feeling that?
Yeah, especially because like I'd played it for Bobby before. I didn't even play these songs for my mom. The first time she heard them was when we finished them.
Wow.
And Bobby actually was like, let your mom into the studio, let her hear it. And I was like, okay. Like I get so nervous to share them, so especially like having only, like at that time, I had only met Alex a handful of times. I'd never met Joey before. Me and my mom drove like 45 minutes to go to this. We were just taking a shot, not taking a shot. Like we trusted Bobby and the process and these people, but like we were just like, like I don't know anyone other than Bobby very much really. And it was like, they're going to hear like my deepest, darkest feelings about all the things that make me sad. And like, I was like, really like, whoa, but they made me feel so comfortable, and they're all so kind. And I really enjoyed working with all of them. So I hope I didn't annoy them too much.
No, gosh, you were a joy to work with. Caitlin has a great ear too. So, a lot of her I think every one of her songs has a lot of harmonies in them.
That was one thing that I knew I wanted.
Yes. And, I did a cappella all through college, so harmonies are like my thing. But Caitlin has this really cool, she almost writes herself sometimes in her harmony line, she'll write herself a second melody, which is really cool. And then, I would just nudge around and, let's layer this, let's try that. And I would sing something to her, and she'd sing it back, and we'd listen back and be like, okay, now what if this line goes up on this harmony? Cool, great. And we would just play and create. But I think if she hadn't been so comfortable, again, part of the job is to make the artist feel comfortable. But I think if she had been worried and nervous about, am I going to sound bad, that it wouldn't have, she wouldn't have felt so free to do a lot of what she did. And then sometimes she would do something and be like, ooh, I like that one even better.
Yeah. And it was hard because there were times where it got like frustrating. And I think for all of us, that's very true because I think since it was my first time in the studio, there's a lot of things about the process that you don't entirely realize until you get there. There's a lot of repetition. There was a time, I forget, I think it was that high belty note. We recorded that, I want to say like 50 times at minimum, like over and over. And it was like, take 30. Like, okay, take 31. Like, it was just like an over, and it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. We would like end these sessions at like 11:30, and we were just like, it was just like over and over and over.
But the reason that we did that is we didn't want to tune her because there's something so great about the rawness of her voice with the vulnerability of the lyric. And so we didn't, it would be so easy to just press a button and tune it up, but I always think you can hear it.
I'm so grateful that we did it that way though, because as much as it was like, oh my God, again, it made the process. It was so fun because it got fun. We started I think we got to that slap happy loopy stage at one point where we were all just like, like what's going on? And it was just fun. And we actually had a good time. There was one time where we met up for one of our sessions, and half of it we were sitting around should I have a stage name? What should it be?
Yep.
Should this be my last name? We were literally just spitballing. They told me I should be Caitlin Van Gogh. I should be the next famous Van Gogh. I was like, you guys are off your rocker. Ideas. It was so funny.
Wow.
There was a lot of good ones.
My favorite was Kate space
I
Lynn.
can't with you. I can't with you. Every time he says it,
every time I said it, she was like, stop it.
I was like, he said it for the first time, and I went, go upstairs and tell Alex what you just said right now. That was absurd. I was like, tell him what you just said. That was crazy. I was like,
go in timeout right now.
Yes. I was like, go tell him and tell me that he also will not agree that is absurd. I was like, crazy. But someone exists with that name.
That is true.
I guess it's not that crazy.
Already took that idea.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you're stuck with the good old Caitlin Cameron.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
We initially were just going to do 4 sessions. Mm-hmm. And I think we ended up doing 8 with Caitlin. And then us guys, I think we did 12.
Wow.
Yeah, we did a lot. It was a ton of work, but the material is just so lush. It was so fun to play with things.
Slay. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Slay.
Slay. Get a little slay.
Yeah, I learned some really good phrases from hanging with Caitlin for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So we're actually going to take a little bit of a commercial break here, but instead of our usual commercial style, today's special. So we're going to listen to a small clip of one of Caitlin's released songs. Get ready.
I dream of dancing in the kitchen till 3 in the morning. The only light comes from the moon. Falling deeply in love without any warning. Staying in bed till the late afternoon. We won't need anyone else to party. Only us with the radio loud. I don't know what kind of mess I just started, but at least I know that I'm safe and sound.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys were just listening to Safe and Sound, and that is one of Caitlin's new songs that just came out very recently on her EP, her new album. So it's available on all streaming platforms right now, so definitely go ahead and give it a listen. That was just a little sneak peek of that awesomeness. But her whole album is being released at the end of April, end of this month. So, so excited.
I'm really excited.
If that doesn't convince you guys to listen, I mean, come on.
Go listen, do it, because I said so right now.
Yes, you heard it here, folks.
I know that was really intimidating, guys. It was just a joke. I'm kidding. Not about the streaming part, about the angry part.
Do stream it.
Do stream it, please.
Caitlin's not an angry person.
No. I'd be
maybe
really
in her
happy.
album.
Yeah.
A couple moments in the album.
Yeah. That's actually true.
but she's very
So I guess-
inquisitive. She's very emotional.
Thanks.
I think the best word is vulnerable. You're really a vulnerable artist, like writer specifically. But it comes across in your voice too.
Thanks.
It's just, I'm a fan. I'm a big
Not
fan.
everyone is so in touch with that either. That's not something easy to achieve.
Yes, no, it's very
So that's
true.
what makes it so impressive and beautiful, and like it's different from what we've heard. I love your work so much. I mean, I listened to your first 2 ones when they dropped, and it's beautiful. But
Thanks.
and now Safe and Sound is coming.
I know.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Safe and Sound has this almost like Fleetwood Mac vibe to it.
Oh, thanks.
I love Fleetwood
That's-
Mac.
You've given
Oh
me
my gosh.
so many compliments. That's one of the best ones you've come up with yet.
Wow.
So I just did a workshop of a project, theater project, in Maryland, and
Yay.
we did a presentation for some theaters and investors, and we needed pre-show music. And I was like, I have the perfect pre-show music, because the show that I was doing is about 2 teenagers, 16-year-olds. So played Caitlin's album and Claire Kennedy's album, because Claire wrote hers when she was 16 as well, and has some angst in there. So
Okay.
people got to hear this material. When Safe and Sound came on, because people that I was working with had heard the other 2 songs, because I couldn't stop talking about Caitlin, but they hadn't heard
Thanks.
Safe and Sound. But I popped it into the playlist for pre-show, and when it started playing, 3 people on the staff came up and they're like, "What is this? Oh my god, I love this! This is a hit!" And I was like, "Yeah, we saved the hit. We saved the
Wow.
big hit."
I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Wow.
I was going to say something and it slipped my mind. Oh, I remember. I was just going to say that I love Claire Kennedy, and this is my public proposal that we should do a song together, and I love you, Claire.
Please make it happen.
Please.
I'm just gonna text her later and be
I'm
like,
gonna make a
Claire, I
soundbite
love
of
you.
this.
Yeah.
And we will just blast it out there. So now
Yeah.
she has to, for the sake of all of us,
Because
the world needs to hear that.
because I said I love her, and so if I love her, that means that she should do something for. That's a terrible lesson. I don't mean that. But I do love Claire. But yeah, I also, this is like, I don't know, I'm backtracking, but something about like the vulnerableness of the lyrics. I really like the fact that I'm a teenage girl, and I feel like a lot of people shy away from that or think that that's a bad thing or like a bad thing to be called. But I like
It's fun
I
being a
like
teenage
Yeah, I
girl.
love being a teenage girl. I love it so much, and I think that writing about it, I mean, there's the moments, obviously. You've heard the songs. You've heard Skin. I wrote it and I meant it. But there's so many feelings that come with being a teenage girl, and I think that's why we get such a bad rep sometimes. But there's also such a vulnerability to it that I think makes art so interesting and fun. And I just wanted to say that because I think sometimes that's seen as a bad thing, and I want all those teenage girls out there to know that that's not a bad thing, and you have a lot of good material in there from all that crap that you deal with being a teenage girl, and I think that that's a good thing.
I love where this is going right now because I always
Thanks.
love to wrap up these episodes with some advice. So thank you so much for that uncalled for lead-in.
Oh my God, you're welcome.
But yeah, I think you guys have shared a lot of great things, and that is so inspiring. Like, I'm so inspired listening to you guys talk about this. Like, it's amazing.
I want you to do
So-
an album.
Oh,
Yeah, me too.
maybe. Coming soon.
Yay!
You're a great,
But-
great guitarist and singer.
Thank you.
Agree.
Bobby. Thank you. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
guys. Okay. Maybe we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you guys have to say for the world, for
I
all
wanted-
of these people?
I wanted to point out, or just piggyback on what Caitlin was just saying. I think if she didn't embrace her age, I'm the youngest. I'm 5, and I sent it to my siblings, and one of my brothers texted me and was like, "That lyric in the bridge," and this is the lyric: "They say the body is a temple. I treat mine like a public high school bathroom."
Lol.
Wow.
LOL.
What's
wow.
the next? Is it painful?
Hateful words paint the walls of my
hateful
brain.
words paint the walls of my brain. filled to the brim with teenage doom.
Phoebe Bridgers, who?
How amazing
Who
is
are
that?
you? Oh
Thanks.
my gosh.
It's
I'm like,
so
I can't even process that
specific.
right now. I'm like,
This is the thing with lyric writing. If you can be so specific, it becomes universal.
Relatability.
And that just, I think
Big
everyone
stuff.
knows what you mean.
that is amazing. Like, honestly,
Thanks,
that
stop.
is beautiful.
Compliments make me nervous.
There is nothing I appreciate more than just like beautiful lyrics like that.
Thank
like,
you. Me too.
let's be honest. There's some music trends going on in pop that, like, you know, not all of it is like, you know, my cup of tea. My
Yes.
cup of tea.
Sure.
Per se.
Sure.
It could be
Yes.
other people's, but something about these kind of lyrics that are just like, you know, this person has been through stuff, and you know this person is real, and everybody's been through stuff.
Right.
And they're putting it out in such a beautiful, artistic, just
And relatable.
relatable way.
That's the
Key.
thing.
That is the key. It's just like so enjoyable to listen to, and it's just amazing what you can do. Like, listening to that was amazing, and I think
Thanks.
everybody's jaws are dropped right now. My jaw is dropped. Just an infinite jaw drop.
Bobby, you should do a spoken word version of all
Should I?
of my songs.
Because you're only 16 once. Ooh,
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Could you
That
imagine?
is the key. Ooh. Maybe you do it in
Ooh,
different
ooh.
ways and then layer it. Those
Ooh,
little
yeah.
oohs,
Ooh, ooh,
different, you know. Now we're getting delirious here, aren't we?
No.
Aren't we getting delirious?
Maybe. I didn't sleep last night.
Well, that was just amazing. Like, I appreciate you guys so much for coming on here and telling us all this stuff. I mean, we got to hear some exclusive behind the scenes about all of this production work, which I found really fascinating on the engineering side. And then all of the lyrical work, beautiful. And then this collaboration is the most interesting part. And I love that you guys are such a great team. And guys,
I like to think so.
if you are like Caitlin, or we're like Caitlin, who has this spark but doesn't know how to make it set off and become a real big flame, hit up Bobby, okay?
Yeah.
Bobby is wonderful, and just hearing that, I mean, I'm sure you guys can hear, like, that guidance is so key. And all of us, we have dreams, but like, we're like, how do we make the next step? How do we get there? That is the right way to go. So
Bobby Cronin.
work with Bobby Cronin.
Oh,
Makes
that's
all your
And-
dreams come true.
Listen, this is a very good episode. I mean, if you guys are in a position like Caitlin was. So it's just so interesting to hear it from both sides. So I'm very appreciative you guys were both able to join me today.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having us.
much. And oh, I forgot to mention, we do every once in a while, Bobby hosts courses, songwriting courses,
Yes.
where they're in a group environment. We had a few of those
Doing
in
one
the
this
recent
summer.
months. Yes,
You
doing
are?
one this summer
Yes,
coming
it will
up.
be the middle of July.
Good to
I
know.
can't remember the exact dates, but the middle of July.
Keep
That
in
is another
mind.
great thing. You get to watch everybody work in a group
Yeah, and this one is for all
environment,
levels.
listen to everyone. Nice.
Because I know that sometimes it can be scary if you feel like you're not a great pianist or a great guitarist.
Yeah.
So that is not a necessity for this summer course.
Nice. I love to hear that. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to episode 5 of the
Thank you,
Prep
Taylor.
Podcast. And you guys can find us all over socials, Prep Podcast, TikTok, Instagram. We are on YouTube, and we are on all these different streaming platforms. You are listening to one right now, so you know where you are. And we're just so looking forward to continuing this. And this was a really packed episode and something very different. So it was very cool to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I keep thanking you guys, but just thank you so much. It was so awesome talking to you guys.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you.
All right. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.